Hi, this is James Jeng with Old Capital, and we're here with Mark Allen with Greystone, and he's going to go through a new deal that just came on the market called St. Charles Place. Mark, so maybe start off and give us a little of your background, and then we'll jump into this deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in commercial real estate for a couple years now. Just had 3 years actually. I've been with Greystone for about a year. We were formerly Sperry Van Ness SVN. Were acquired last year around February, March timeframe, so about a year ago. And we've got a team of 10 brokers. And this property is St. Charles Place in Lewisville, Texas.
All right, so maybe give sort of a high level on sort of the background of the deal, and then we'll get into sort of where it is located within DFW.
Yeah, so the owners are a group of investors, not a syndication. They're equal partners, and they own. It's like an internal investment club, and they own multiple properties across Dallas-Fort Worth. Primarily, they purchased many properties during the recession, and some of those areas were South Dallas, East Fort Worth. So they have a very low basis in their properties. They've made quite a few improvements. Walking with one of the lead investors through the property, he actually said, I asked him, you've owned a lot of different properties, 60s, 70s, 80s construction. What's been your favorite? And he said, honestly, this one, because it's in the best location. It's located right off I-35. You got visibility off I-35. It's a true workforce demographic. It's 100% Hispanic demographic. Everyone lays low. They work hard. They pay rent on time. And he said, we collect about 100% of the rents every single month. So this is one of his favorite properties. So that's their profile. They self-manage the property. And I think there's quite a bit of upside in both income and expenses. So look forward to diving into this one.
Okay, so Lewisville sits, sort of right in the middle of DFW, just north of the airport, right off I-35, like you said. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here on the aerial and maybe talk about some of the surrounding uses and why people like this location so much.
Yeah, and it's really centrally located in Lewisville. Lewisville, just when you look at the Metroplex, is like smack dab in the middle. It's just north of DFW. So you can get around DFW pretty quickly. Many of the tenants work all over. James was just talking about a deal he financed close by, which I'm sure he'll get into. But the tenants can, they can travel to Carrollton, to Farmers Branch, to Grapevine, to DFW Airport, or to Denton, and any surrounding cities, within 10 to 15 minutes. So it's a really versatile location. Again, it's situated right off I-35. You can see up there at the kind of just north of the intersection of the Business 121 and I-35. And to the north, you have Medical City, Lewisville, and then many shopping centers with some of your big box and large chain retail, Starbucks, Walmart. Just south, you have the Music City Mall, and you have BJ's Brewhouse and Costco. And it's close to kind of that central historic downtown section just west of Lake Lewisville.
Yeah, we financed the property closer, a little bit south of here. It was a smaller deal, 32, 33 units, and we ended up doing like a Freddie small balance loan on that deal. And after they acquired the property, sort of went in there, did their lease audit, they could not find like a single employer that was the same. Like everybody just worked all over the Metroplex, and I think that speaks to how quickly it is, ease of access to these highways. So maybe give a little bit of, so I think on the left-hand side is the aerial, and the way this property lays out, maybe talk about the layout and sort of how it's 2 stories on one side, a single story on the other side, and then you have some land there on the right-hand side. Is that our land or is that open? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's 4 buildings on the right-hand side. Down on this left picture, you'll see the flats. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see 3 buildings, and those are 2-story. You got all pitch roofs. The roofs were replaced just recently. The last one finished up actually last month. It was early February. So brand new roofs. You got individually individual meters for electric. You've got individual HVACs, although they're not your traditional air handler and condenser. They're PTAC units like you'd see on a motel. You can see kind of there in the wall on the right-hand side in that picture, you can see the PTAC units. There is a central boiler for each building, and those have been replaced recently as well. That land, James, yes, that is part of the property. It's just over 1 acre and could be used. Right now, it's just kind of green space. The tenants will play sports. You can see there's a sports court there, but there's actually not a basketball hoop. There was once a basketball hoop.
That basketball hoop was down when I drove by
Yeah.
last week. So
it's basically just a pole in the ground. But anyways, it could be turned into something that is, like the soccer cage, could be, a barbecue area, something of that sort. I mean, the city is a big proponent of higher density. I don't know if there's any investors out there that are also developers, but this is located within the Lewisville Opportunity Zone, and there's, may be some investors or developers that look at this as, tear down and rebuild, but I doubt it.
Okay. So, right now, that's a lot of open space. When I drove the property, it seemed pretty spacious, and that use that green space for either dog park or adding some amenities there, which I think would be great for the tenant base. Yeah. Maybe jump into what they've done on the interior so far, and then sort of what premiums, if any, they're getting with these upgrades.
So this is a model unit. It is pretty much, it's standard. 60 of these units have been renovated with the vinyl plank flooring, the two-tone paint. You'll see up in the upper right-hand corner, you have the updated bathroom with the vanity and tile surround there. They did not do any of the kitchens, so you have pretty much original kitchens. You can see there on the right with the original, maybe not original appliances, but white appliance package. Some of the surrounding properties, which we'll get into, they're going with new cabinet faces, new poles, black appliance package, backsplash, resurfaced countertops. So on these upgrades right here, they're getting about $100 rent lifts. Again, they've done 60 of these in total. So the opportunity really lies in finishing out this upgrade package, but also taking the kitchens to the next level and getting that extra $50 to $75 rent increase.
All right. Maybe give us a little, so we saw the exterior pictures, maybe talk a little bit about the age of some of the mechanicals and sort of how the property is being run now and where you think some of the upside is for the new owner.
Okay. So I guess foundation, I'll start from kind of the top left, pier and beam foundation. It is masonry brick. Like I said, pitched composition shingle roofs that were recently replaced. Individual PTACs, individual meter for electric, hot water. The boilers again have been replaced. Electrical wiring has been updated. It's pigtailed and white appliances. The laundry facilities, there's 4. CSC lease recently expired, so that gives gives an opportunity to new ownership to either leave, purchase that equipment from CSC and collect 100% of the income, or sign a new lease with CSC or another provider.
Okay. And then, keep going.
Yeah, with the utilities. Property pays all utilities. Again, it's individually metered for electric, so they're paying the electric provider. But right now, water, sewer, trash, gas, and pest control are left for the property to take care of. So that is opportunity where you see there's one other all bills paid property in the area, but the majority of the competing property, they bill back for utilities. So that's opportunity.
Okay. And then how are they managing the property now?
Yeah, they're self-managing. You can see that for 125 units, they have 2 in, 2 out, 3 out. With a half or part-time porter, part-time housekeeper. So their payroll is a little heavy. We have a local third-party management budget, and they're cutting that from, upwards of $1,300 per unit, as the current owner's running that to, somewhere around $1,000 a unit.
Okay. So talk about the rents, they're getting that upgraded rent, and then, talk about where you think you can take it, and then, I guess there's lure on the property. Talk about how that impacts pro forma.
Yeah. So I didn't mention the LURA. There is a LURA in place, and it expires in July of 2022. So it does expire in 2 years. On the right-hand side, you will see the rent limits for studios, 1 bedrooms, and 2 bedrooms. And you'll notice that those max rents are well above the current market rents and even their pro forma rents. So those max rents don't affect the current rents for the property. It's more of a reporting structure or requirement. So you can see that there's not much loss to lease with effective rents somewhere around $853 and market rents at $866. And again, pro forma rents were driving to $931 with continuing the upgrade plan, but also upgrading the kitchens.
Yeah, and I highlighted also on here just sort of, a lot of times some of these deals. Oh, did you talk about the whisper price on the deal? Maybe mention the whisper price real quick.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So the whisper price is $10 million.
10 million.
That's 80,000 a unit, and on the T12, with again, I think there's some efficiencies on expenses, but on the T12, that's a 6.5% cap rate.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of times people forget, especially on these property types, really to look at your unit mix, and 89 of the 125, probably close to 75% of the units are 2 beds. And so that's why I highlighted on the unit mix, so people can keep that in mind as they go through their underwriting. Let's pull up some of the rent comps and talk about, I pulled in sort of your total sort of average rent across the property, but then also pulled out majority of the units are 1 and 2 bedrooms. So maybe talk about the exact sort of floor plan to floor plan match on some of these comps.
Yeah, so average square feet of these unit types at St. Charles Place are smaller than the comparable set. It's a tough property to comp because there's not really much of a difference from the east side of the highway to the west side of the highway. You have retail on both sides. You have similar home prices on each side. So, I think they're both pretty similar. So the comparable set you'll see on the west side of the highway, Basewood Manor is probably the oldest property of the comparable set. At 1970, it's a flat roof, all built pay property. I would say that it's a little bit different in the sense of the unit sizes. You can see that they have larger units on average. Again, it's tougher to comp. We've got some mid 70s and early 70s, and Bayshore Village is 68 vintage, a little bit farther north, stretching up about 2 miles and closer to the lake. Yeah, I mean, you can see the pro forma rents were still well above on just a price or rent per pound at $820 from the competing set. And on the 2 bedrooms, we're driving to $1,000, which is still well below on a price or the rent per pound there.
Okay. All right. So I like this right-hand side. You sort of walk through, all right, what can we do to this property to really drive some value? And then how it ties out to the pro forma. So I don't know if you want to start maybe at the top and sort of work our way down and sort of how do we get NOI from, I guess, let's call it 650 today up to 850 and by year 2.
Yeah. So the competing properties, again, are ranging about $200 to $300 above. Again, they do have larger units, but we're driving to continue that upgrade program on both on all the units, kitchens, and bathrooms. So capturing about $117,000 in annual income. You can see we capitalize this at on the right, which is about $1.8 million. There is water conservation available, so you should be able to get green financing. And that's about Save Water Co. estimated about $34,000 in water savings. Revenue generating Wi-Fi is something that, again, we see a lot of sophisticated owner operators implementing in workforce housing, even in very low income areas and areas like South Dallas or West or East Fort Worth, because everyone's going to Wi-Fi. They would rather not pay for TV. They would rather just stream their Netflix and pay for their Wi-Fi. It's cheaper all in all. So that's about an additional $32 per month per unit, and it's about $800 per unit to retrofit. Reserve parking is pretty tight here. Talking with the manager, they would implement reserve parking going forward. Definitely. It's something that the ownership is not doing today. And that's just $25 premium per space. And then the RUBS income, again, the competing set, all but one, is all bills paid. The competing set is billing back for utilities. So we're doing a very light water sewer, I think $8 for trash and $4 for pest control RUB. So it's about 49,000.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, all in all, on a 6.5% cap rate, it's $3.9 million in value add.
So there's not much. I mean, talk about the capex needed to drive sort of the rental increase, the water conservation, and then maybe the Wi-Fi on a either per unit or total capex on what you think it's going to take to do that in terms of rehab budget.
Sure. So we're talking less than 4,500 a unit for a full upgrade on those units that are still considered classic units.
Okay.
To capture that the performer rent or the annual rental revenue increase of 117,000. To do the upgrades that they've already completed, it's about $2,800. So that should give you an idea. And then we're talking like upgraded faces in the kitchen, cabinet faces, pulls, and then an upgraded black appliance package. So not much more. Water conservation program, I'd actually have to look at that. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Revenue generating Wi-Fi, again, I said $800 per unit to retrofit. And you're capturing about almost $3,500 a month. So, I mean, that's a no-brainer to me.
Okay, so let's call it, 250 to 300 maybe on the upgrades for the interiors. Save Water Co. maybe 60,000 on that, depending if you need to do toilets, and you probably need to do toilets. And then Wi-Fi, you said $800 a unit, so about 80,000. So I'm calculating like 500,000 or so in upgrades. Or CapEx budget.
I think it's probably less than 4,000 a unit.
Okay, so 4,000, 4,000 a unit, right around there.
Somewhere right around there.
Okay, and then I mean, obviously, that's driving 3.9 in value, so makes total sense to get the NOI back up to the 850. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, all right. So we really looked at it on this one as a Fannie Mae loan. The deal is performing well. It's a stabilized deal, as you can see here, sort of T12 net rental, T3 net rental. I mean, it's very stable. We did T12 other income. We did a 3.5% management fee, $350 on G&A. Payroll we brought down to $1,100. Utilities T12, water and sewer T12. R&M at $600 a door. Insurance, we're seeing about $400 a door. And then taxes, we brought up to about 60% of purchase. And so on the whisper of 10 million, we were right at 80% with 1 to 3 years IO, just based off the borrower's experience. And we're seeing rates right now about 3.4 on yield maintenance, and then 3.7 on a step down. And so deal size is very well. This is on a probably 10-year, 12-year note, and allows you to get great leverage. So Mark, if people are interested in this deal, what's the best way for them to sort of reach out to you, maybe set up a tour and get ready for the call for offers date?
Yeah, please send me an email. You can reach me at mark.allen, ALLEN, at greystoneisg.com. ISG stands for Investment Sales Group. You can also reach me by phone at 972-865-6328. And also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there.
Okay, great. So we've got, probably a little under a month before the call for offers date. So definitely get out there, tour the deal, and get your offer in. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thanks so much, James. Talk to you soon.
Bye.